What's up, guys? He's done 370,000 in sales the last year. I'm here with Mike, the Golden State Picker from the Golden State, California. Correct? Right? That's a Golden State.
Yep. I'm in California, and I'm in my house in North Carolina right now.
Awesome. Yeah, he's got a great YouTube channel, great step-by-step videos. I always see him popping up, so I figured I'd get him here on my channel on the Amazon Savages podcast. And today we're going to talk about how he's done 200,000 in sales on Amazon, 170,000 in sales on eBay, and really just his overall story. And hopefully you guys get some value from it. So welcome to the Amazon Savages.
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me on. It's been a while. You've been trying to get me on, and I finally.
I know. I'm persistent. But yeah, it's good to have you here, man. I really do love your channel. You do pop up a lot on my feed, I guess, because I'm a book selling YouTuber as well. And I just wanted to hear a little bit more about your story behind the scenes and really how you got started. So if you want to take us back to, like, I guess the first item you ever flipped.
Well, it's hard to. It wasn't a book, believe it or not. I originally was trying to get into books, and I was watching Reezy and Lincoln. And then a little bit of Rally Roots, and I was in between. I had a furniture store for 30 years, and I had just shut it down before COVID. And anyhow, just started to drive around doing Ubering, and I thought this idea. I said, "Hey, why don't I hit these thrift stores? As I'm Ubering on the way back home." And that's how it started. And I just started grabbing things that made sense to me, because I'm 62 now. So I had a pretty good knowledge of stuff. So that's what I was just doing, picking stuff up that I thought was cool. I made a lot of mistakes early. I was just spending way too much time in the glass aisle. That's what I thought. I'm like, get out of here. But I started hitting up electronics and stuff like that. Probably my first couple of items were mostly electronic related, like turntables, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that was all on eBay?
That was all eBay, because I hadn't figured out the Amazon angle yet. That's I think the hard part for me was that I was just trying to break even on Amazon, trying to figure out a source. That's the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kept, I kept working the eBay angle, and then just trying to, make some money on Amazon and put books in and some other things in, but mostly books that I would find, and move on from there. I just wanted to break even with Amazon as much as possible, make some money, and not, and then get to eventually the source that I found.
Yeah. Okay. What do you mean the source you found? So you found a pretty good source.
Yeah. I basically, I am not a monster Amazon seller. I'm kind of like sit in the middle. I try to just make money for my retirement, that kind of thing. So I found a source that sells me Gaylords of books at $100 a Gaylord. And then I pick up about 3 Gaylords Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I go through those. And then that's how but I found that through a young person, a 22-year-old guy who turned me on to it, said, "Hey, you might check this place out."
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Amazon started to grow.
So how are you, it was just like a thrift store, you said you're getting these Gaylords from?
Yeah, I buy from a major thrift store.
Okay. And how are you processing these? Are you doing it yourself? Do you pay somebody?
This is the thing. My channel, if you watch my channel, everything I do is just me. So when you hear $370,000 in total sales, that's picking, listing, shipping, you name it. It's all me. So it can be done solo. It's not easy, but that's the way I roll.
Can you walk us through, like, you're buying the Gaylord? How many are you getting at a time? Are you getting one at a time? Are you getting 7 at a time? How are you getting them delivered?
The source that I have allows me to sort through the bins there, and then I throw them back into an empty. And so I only keep the winners. They take all of the other ones, and they actually resell those overseas. So they get a double dip on it.
Okay, nice.
So I will pick up, generally speaking, 3 a day when I'm there. 3 Gaylord.
And how long does that take you?
I start at around 9 a.m. and I'm usually done by 12:30. It's about 3.5 hours.
For someone watching this who wants a relationship like that, what recommendations do you have to try and start that?
I think that it's really difficult if you're in a small city. I think it's harder there to go and find a source locally. You need to be near the bigger cities that have these hubs. Like Goodwill has, not all Goodwills source their books. Some of them will sell them. So you got to kind of look around for the bigger thrift stores and then just build relationships with other people that will turn you on to something. Like that's how it happened. It took me a year and a half to finally find a really solid source. It's a constant thing you have to do. You just have to keep looking, I think you'll agree with me here. It's networking. You have to have a network of people who will help you. And if you can get that, that's how it happened to me. The young kid knew what I did, said, "Hey, Mike, go here."
Yeah. And you seem like a stand-up guy. Do you do anything special for the relationship? Do you, I don't know. I know Reezy says to bring coffee and stuff, but do you do anything to nurture?
I bring a lot of gift cards to some of the people that work at the place I go to. Every Christmas, I'm a very, when it comes to Christmas time, I'm very giving, and I give all my thrift store employees who know me, I give all of them gift cards.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of gift cards at Christmas, and then during the year, the book guys I really take care of because they're really cool to me. So yeah, those guys get a little extra.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And no desire to have like a helper list. Does your wife help you?
No, you know what? My wife comes on my channel. A video's coming up with my wife. She'll pop in every so often to say hi and to say that he keeps the house clean. That's about it. But my wife, she would help me in very little areas, not much, but maybe when we're doing sorting lots or something like that. But when it comes to everything, I just do it myself, and I have a system. That's it. I just have a way of doing. That's the other thing. You have to have one of the greatest books everybody should read, and I'm going to tell you right now, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. You should buy that book and keep that book and read that book. As a matter of fact, on my trip over here to North Carolina, I got a second book and I reread it and I'm highlighting it, and I'm going to compare my highlights to the second book. You have to have a process. And if you have a process, you can do it yourself. Now, I'm not saying it's for everybody because, it's a lot of people aren't as compartmentalized as I am, but it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I do it. It's just me. I'm very independent when it comes to this.
Yeah.
It's wild to watch me work.
Yeah. Yeah. So you worked Uber before. What else do you say you did? A furniture business?
I owned a furniture store for 30 years. So I had basically 30 years of retail experience. And I was in between what I wanted to do with my retirement. And so some of my friends said, "Hey, Mike, just go Uber for a while." And my wife always tells people that she knew that I was eventually going to find something else to do. It was just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
And now it has grown into this massive, for me, $370,000 a year gross sale business.
Do you know what your margin is on that?
Yeah, my margin, and that's the other thing on my channel. You will get all of the complete breakdown every year, every quarter. But to be straight up, I pocketed last year $109,000. Okay, that's after everything, fees, everything. So that's what I pocketed. So it's a very fair assessment of. I tell people this is how it's done.
Yeah.
And so I want them to extrapolate what $370,000 breaks down to in the reselling game, because we could sit there and show you videos all day long, right, of great finds. $500 item that I paid $10 for, so forth and so on. But what is it at the end? That's what counts. Yeah, I don't want to fool anybody. I don't want to trick anyone. I want to say, hey, you're going to have to work at this. Yeah. And if you look at it and build a process, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. And so that 200,000, how much of that is coming from that source you landed? Is it all from that source?
The $200,000 on Amazon is all from that source.
Nice.
Yeah,
so you're going through like 3 Gaylords. How often, you said?
I go through 9 Gaylords a week minimum.
Okay. Yeah. So you're putting the work in.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of fun. It's like, I tell people, I find other things in these Gaylords. I'll tell you a couple of finds that will drive you crazy. One of them was a Star Trek script that I sold for $750. Here's the kicker. I found 2 VHS tapes that were sealed brand new. One was Raiders of the Lost Ark. The other was Star Trek. Both of those sold within 10 minutes. One sold for $4,500. One sold for $1,500.
Oh my gosh.
$6,000 on 2 VHS tapes And I have a video up on that one too. It's an
Wow.
old video. Yeah. So,
How many people would just let those go?
yeah, they let those go, but the market, I think, on those have kind of softened. But there was the two people who bought those. The one guy who bought the $4,500 Raiders of the Lost Ark was a very quiet individual. It was very eerie and weird. I thought this is going to be a scam. I was panicked to ship it, all that kind of, I like shipped it in the biggest box.
Yeah.
I didn't want nothing to happen to it. But that's the thing. That's the fun about the Gaylords is I find other things. It's very cool to find stuff that, you dig down and you might find something that's super cool.
What's your acceptance rate, would you say, on the Gaylord? Like what percent are you keeping?
Let me look at I'm just call it Scout IQ. I use Scout IQ.
Okay.
So
nice.
I want to take a look at something real quick.
Caleb's one of my best friends, Caleb Roth.
Yeah, Caleb Roth. I mean, I find it's an amazing, I'm going to have to log in, but while we talk, I'll try to. I think oh my gosh, I can't believe it blocked me out as far as re-signing in. That's weird.
I think one of the problems with looking at the stats, though, is I always double scan good books. So I think
that's what I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So when I'm scanning, for example, if I'm doing a video or something, I might scan a book that's $100 twice. Mm-hmm. But if you watch me do my videos, when I'm at the bins, I will always subtract out. If let's say I have $2,000 in net profit, I'll tell people it's more like $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying about?
Yeah.
Because you're double scanning.
Mm-hmm.
Some books come up incorrect, meaning. So I think my acceptance rate was around. I want to say, oh my gosh, 25%. But if I get in, I'll let you know. Yeah. Do you use Scout IQ?
Yeah.
You're using Scout?
Yeah.
I don't know. What about Scoutly?
More or less the same. I mean, you know how it was. Scout IQ. Caleb Roth made Scout IQ like however many years ago, 10 years ago. Scoutly was called a seller tool, FBA Scan. And then Caleb came in and created eScore, which they call it sales score, I believe. So he kind of innovated the market there. Super helpful metric. And then he really simplified things down. Caleb did to make it like it was like Apple versus Microsoft. A seller tool had all these different options where Scout IQ was really simple. And then they actually copied that too. Scoutly looks exactly like Scout IQ now. And then they changed their name from FBA Scan to Scoutly years later. And they changed their color scheme to match Scout IQ. I mean, I can't imagine how frustrating that would be.
Yeah, it does. I looked at it one time recently and I go, this thing looks a lot like Scout IQ. I go,
yeah. Just imagine how frustrating that would be. But apparently, yeah, they're I mean, I just can't imagine. But I guess from Scoutly's perspective or FBA Scan, Caleb did kind of copy them when he came in with his own mobile app. But they're more or less the same. One difference actually is, I'll show you guys real quick. I'm going to pop this up on the screen. We're muted for
32%.
Say that one more time.
32% acceptance rate.
Okay, nice. So
you see, I don't know. And my estimated profit would be about 5,100 is what it says. So I would say that would probably be more like 3,300.
Yeah.
I would say, you know what I mean?
And that's just for 9 Gaylords.
Yeah. And I haven't been there for, 2 or 3 days now. So I'd have to look back. But yeah, I'm pretty standard, I think. Do you have a pretty good, when you're scanning, what's your acceptance rate about that too? Or
I mean, I'm happy with 5%.
5%.
Yeah, but that's
you're doing different.
Like I'm cherry picking. So like I'll be at like a used bookstore, Goodwill, and I'll just be scanning. I mean, if 1 in 5 books, or not 1 in 5, it'd be 1 in 20 books. Is that right? 1 in 20. If 1 in 20 books hits, I'm happy.
About 5%, yeah.
But if I'm going through a Gaylord, it's closer to like, I think mine was 10% back in the day, which I don't think was that great, really. But
right. See, I
saw people saying 70% of the material is going somewhere. So they scan it. It's either going to a wholesaler, like sell back your book. It's going to another buyback company. It's going FBA, MF. Like most bulk guys I talk to are above 50%. But for me, for whatever reason, I was like 10%. I would get a couple boxes and I would take the rest to a used bookstore called McKay's and get trade credit there.
That's something I think I need. I can still learn a lot. That's what I think is great about what we do, is there is so much room to improve constantly.
Yeah.
And I think one area that I think I should improve in is probably selling some of these duds back to some used bookstores.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're basically going through the Gaylord and just giving it back to the store anyway, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is, just junk, but there are a lot of good stuff that I'm space oriented too. I'm doing this. That I should clarify with everybody. I don't have a storage locker. I don't have a huge house. I live in California. Everything is out of a 2-car garage. And that's when we go back to my wife. The rule is that nothing invades the house. That means I don't take over another room. So if they walk into my front door, they don't know what I do. But if they walk into my garage, they think I'm a hoarder. I just have stuff everywhere in the garage, but that's the deal we've made.
Are you dropping everything off at UPS, like when it's ready to go?
Yeah, I drop everything at UPS. And that's the cool thing is I have a nice route. I go to the post office, FedEx, and UPS, and I end up at UPS, and there's a Savers in UPS. So then I go into Savers.
Nice.
So it's all about a process. It's all about figuring out how to make your day as consistent as possible. And if you continue to do the same things over and over, that's where that book, Atomic Habits, it talks about creating processes, not goals, but processes that continually will work. It's like you plug it in and you go do this, and you know that eventually you're going to hit something. And that's how it works.
Yeah. And you're not messing with CDs, DVDs?
I do. I'm ungated on Amazon for those, but I am mostly new, that kind of thing. I'm trying to sell. I do look at most DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that, but in general, if I'm finding a lot of newer stuff, I'm putting that up.
Gotcha. Are you finding much of that in the Gaylords or no?
Oh yeah, I find albums. I just ran into like 7 or 8 nice Beatles albums. You'll be amazed at what people throw away. I'm in Silicon Valley, and there's money here, and they will just toss almost anything.
Yeah. I guess you're in Silicon Valley, so it's a nice area. Is it a wealthy area where you like the thrift store gets a lot of wealthy donations, you think?
It's a higher end area, but I would say that most areas in the Bay Area are higher end. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like there's a nice Savers in a town called Redwood City. That's very high end. You find a lot of cool stuff there. A friend of mine just found, just for example, somebody threw away beautiful watch boxes by, I can't remember his name, but Burrowwood watch boxes that $12,000-$13,000 watches are in, that they sold for $10 to him, and he'll flip them for $200.
Wow.
So I'm talking, it's weird. It's like they throw everything away here.
Yeah.
So I think, Romer, what's really key here too is in my videos, I am very honest and say, look, this is not here to fool you or trick you or anything, but this is my area. So please remember where I live.
Yeah.
And in your area, you can do what we do, but you have to find what works for you in that area, is what I get at.
Yeah, that's huge. People like to act like every city, like in any city, you can put the same effort in and get the same results, but it's just not true. Some cities are going to have way more opportunity. Sometimes on the poor side of town, you might do better for whatever reason. Maybe they get, shipments in from or a transfer from a Goodwill that is overstocked, that gets donations from a wealthy side of town. Like you just never really know what you're going to hit, but that's a great point. And if you live in the middle of nowhere, maybe you have one thrift store that's a honey hole once a month, but other than that, you don't have much. Like when I travel, I lived in my car in 2018 and I went from Nashville all the way to California. And I just went to like Havasu, Arizona. I went to like all these small towns that were wealthy, like in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sure some of those towns like never really got hit up with thrifters like me before. And I would just go in and just scan all the books and leave with like a whole cart filled, So I completely understand. Not all cities are created the same.
I have a friend who's in Denver area, just outside of Denver. Now, Denver is pretty wealthy, I think. And he just showed me last night, and I turned him on. He was a young guy, and he was in my area and moved to Denver. So I knew him before he left here. I was just beginning. He was kind of doing the same thing. He flashed me a $2,000 net profit boxes that he was shipping out. And I said, hey, Charlie said, where'd you get these at? He goes, I just went to an ARC, thrift stores and others, just sounding like you, like hitting these major ones that nobody's hitting. And he's like so stoked because of what he's doing now on Amazon. And he said, he told me last night in them texts, he said, if I can keep this going on Amazon, he goes, I might blow off eBay.
Yeah.
That's what, he's that excited.
Yeah.
I think it's like you get so excited. You try to tell people that it grows on you, right? As you finally figure things out, it just becomes, I don't want to say it becomes easier, but it becomes just more of an enthusiam. And
yeah, well, you get momentum and like you landed that source, that source is good. It's not going anywhere. You understand probably when to go to Savers near UPS. So you probably know what days are best. You like learn these little pieces of information that help you out so much.
Well, that's why I tell people, I said, that's the networking thing. Don't be afraid if you're in a bigger, let's say you're in a bigger city and you got access to a lot of thrift stores. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself in a way to the managers, to the workers, and they will start to ask you, what do you like? Oh, I like this. I like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they'll push something out for you.
Yeah.
They go, hey, we got this in the back or something. You're not cheating. Okay. What you're doing is you're using your knowledge and you're saying, hey, you want to sell something? I want to buy something. Let's connect and make this happen.
100%. And you're like the ideal person they want to work with. Like you're not going anywhere. They're not going to waste a bunch of time letting you in the back room. You're not going to get everything disorganized one time and then leave. Like you're literally going to work with them for years. You're going to purchase from the store for years. If they ever get like an overflux of inventory, they have somebody to call on now. If they ever think they come across something really valuable, maybe they go to you. They ask you, hey, is this really worth it? Like you become an asset for them rather than like a leech, which a lot of people look at themselves as leeches. And that's the problem.
Here's the thing. This is a great thing too about Savers. And I really love this one Savers I go to is they have a front door donation. So it doesn't go to the back. So as we walk in the store, the donations are coming in right next to the door. So we can see kind of what's coming in. So we can get a general idea. It's like, hey, that's a cool item. Then if you know the guy in the back room, you say, hey, can you price that for me? Before it even basically comes to the door and goes in, you can potentially have it. But I help him. And what I mean by that is he might not know something. He says, hey, what is this thing? I might know it. I'll say, hey, this is what it is. For example, for golf clubs, I am a very big golf club seller. He gets golf clubs in and he says, Mike, what do you think? I said, this is garbage, throw it away. This is garbage. You know what I mean? This is solid. And then if he gets a whole set, I'll say, I'll buy it all. Yeah. So I'm training him to help him be more efficient in his job instead of just cluttering the floor. Yeah. You want to help these people. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you do anything like free book pickups or do you mess with, because you do Savers cherry picking, you got this connection that you get the Gaylords from. You using any other sourcing methods like free book pickups? You go to library sales at all? Anything like that? I used to go to library sales, but due to the source that I have now, I just don't. I used to go. The library sales were kind of interesting because it was pretty crazy, right? You've done them, obviously. Yeah. So it's a lot of guys there scanning, and now the libraries are catching on to the scanners, right? So they're, in a way, some of the prices are getting a little higher. And but it's kind of the same thing you're talking about. Like if you're cool with the managers, like they know what we're doing. They have a pre-sale that they say is a members sale. It's not really for the members. It's for the scanners. They've been doing this for years. So if you show up and you're not a weirdo, you show them coffee, you're going to get the same exact thing that you're dealing with, where they're going to come across a book they think is worth $1,000. And if they like you, they're going to come to you first. They're going to ask you, hey, and then when they have more books in the back that they're going to cart out, they're not going to ask the crazy scanner that's like knocking over the textbooks, the 40-year-old man who's acting like a child, knocking over the textbook section, not cleaning it up. They're going to go to you, the triple one, who's going to maybe help them put the books on the shelf like a sane human being, and then they'll let you go through them first. That's you a couple weeks later when they have another big donation that they don't have room for. So it really does come down to relationships. It absolutely does. It's like when I'm in the thrift store, if you grab something off a cart or something, first thing I always tell them, and they already know, I'm going to put this back for you if I don't want it. So don't worry about finding it, in X place. In the books, when it's an electronics piece, I'm going to put it over on the shelf. Yeah. That's it. That's the relationship. That's the networking we talk about. Giving yourself a good reputation with others. You will be amazed. I'll tell you, Roman, that's the only way I was successful. I've always been this way. You have to build those relationships. And if you
Yeah.
don't, you will, if you're going to be a wall, I don't mean this in a bad way, but if you're going to be a wallflower and stuff, that's cool, but it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you kind of stick your nose in there a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Stick your nose in and provide value. You might feel like you're leeching the first few times, but
Yes.
after a while, it truly becomes a relationship.
And hey, the other thing we should talk about is, again, the relationship with other booksellers, the relationship with other pickers.
Yeah.
You give, like, if a bookseller comes into Savers, there's this one gentleman I always know. He always comes to me and says, "Hey, Mike, how's the store?" And I can tell him, I'll save him time. I'll say, "Look, there was a scanner here before you about an hour, and he went through everything." And you know what I mean? Instead of letting him go scan it, I say, "You can scan, but I'm just giving you this information."
Yeah.
It's helpful to people. That's the thing, because guess what? They're in turn are going to help you. I cannot tell you how many times I'm on vacation right now for 3 weeks. And I can't tell you how many times people text me. I got a text last night from a friend because my son's out at Savers. She goes, "Here's a coupon for Josh." And I'm on vacation. "Okay, here you go. Here's a 30% off coupon." So I send it to my son. And that's another picker. So it's these relationships, right?
Yeah. Have you made any relationships from your social media?
Well, I know Kevin, the Commonwealth picker. Kevin and me started at the same time, and I've been to Kevin's house twice. So
Who is this guy? Kevin.
Commonwealth picker.
Oh, Commonwealth picker. Okay.
A Commonwealth picker. Yeah. Of all the pickers I know out there, Kevin is probably the most amazing picker, and he is out in the middle of nowhere. I'm telling you. And I've been to his house, and I was shocked to see how he finds stuff. But if you ever watch his channel, it's weird. It's the weirdest thing. And he's just a super down home person, and he has a super channel. He has over 110,000 now subscribers, so he's doing really well. We started at the same time. He started in his basement, all that. But I have built some relationships with local pickers, but I'm not a big media person, as far as you know that. You know how hard it was to get me to come on the channel for a while. I wasn't blowing you off. I was just so busy.
I get it.
You know what I mean? And I said, you know what? If I'm going to go on one channel, I'm going to go on Romer's, because we kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was eventually going to get to you, and you helped me with a question and stuff. So that's.
Oh, yeah. How did that end up going?
What it was I'll just tell people. A buyer claimed they got a counterfeit book from me on Amazon. 5 years, I've never had one complaint, right? And I was freaked out. And that's why I turned to my social media. We're talking about that. And I turned to you just to get some answers. And it was basically the other person, Dave, who you sent me to. He said, "Don't worry about it. It happens. It's just a buyer." Has that happened to you too?
Yeah. Well, that happened to David, and his account was suspended like a week ago, or not a week ago, for a full week, like a month ago. So he got a counterfeit buyer claim. And this guy's been in business for 16 years, I think.
Jeez.
Doing $1 million. I don't know if he's doing $1 million a month, but he's doing close to that.
Yeah,
you get a buyer counterfeit claim selling used books, and Amazon just suspends your account. Not even from the brand, from a buyer. How crazy is that? And so he helped me. I had the same thing, but from the brand in 2019. The big scary textbook company, they gave a counterfeit claim, which it's from the brand, so Amazon respects that more.
Yes.
And he helped me get my account back then, because he just went through the same thing like a few weeks before in 2019. But he got his account recovered this year from a customer counterfeit claim, and he used like a Goodwill invoice to, I guess you're not really proving authenticity, but you're showing where the book came from. So when you came to me with that issue, I was like, oh yeah, David's been through it before.
Yeah. And that's the freaky thing is that's why I just want to keep my nose clean with everybody, just do stuff. But it's really strange when buyers hit you with something like that. Yeah. And it's not like, hey, we're not doing that on purpose, right? None of us are. And it's like Amazon is like, it's like they can be really brutal.
And that's why, like, if anyone's watching this and you guys have any issues at all, like, hit me up behind the scenes, and we got a good network of people that can help you get your account back.
Yeah. So it's pretty, got to be pretty careful with that stuff. But I did, what's interesting was I did find 2 textbooks that were counterfeit, but they were so obvious. You know what I mean? I said, these are purely counterfeit.
What are some signs of a counterfeit textbook?
The quality is really different. And you have to watch, like this particular book, the printing edges, it was a Pearson. And when you looked at the Pearson logo, it was blurry. It was like, okay, Pearson would never let something, their own logo be super blurry. And then the top edge was cut, not square, out, off center. You could just tell.
Yeah.
Little subtle things like that you have to watch out for. If it, I think I could put it like this when we're talking about things. When you pick something up of quality, you kind of know it. A textbook has quality. Clothing has quality. You know it. And then all of a sudden you pick up something that doesn't feel right. That's a signal.
Yeah.
You thumb the pages, you look at the cover and you go, no, this is not right.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be very careful of all counterfeits, especially in the DVD world, right? DVD worlds on Amazon, got to be really careful.
What's the biggest indicator for you of a counterfeit DVD?
Generally, it's pretty simple. It's not in the regular box, or if it is in the regular box, when you open it up, the label that they printed was like inkjet or laser printed, and you can kind of tell in general on that. And also the sleeve that they put it in, they didn't use. They're not interested in the quality of the inkjet printing. You can tell it's just like it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking. What about you? Do you look for things on that?
Okay, so my story in terms of DVD sales is, I don't know if you know this, but I run restrictedinventory.com. So basically 2019, I was doing a lot of thrifting, liquidations. I got up to 20K in sales simply by going to thrift stores and stuff. Then I was posting on social media. I found out not everyone could sell textbooks, but I could. I said, hey guys, send me your textbooks. So like the whole community sent me their textbooks, did 80K in sales in 1 August. And I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of money in this. And a lot of people couldn't sell CDs and DVDs. So I said, hey, send me your CDs and DVDs as well. And so, and back then it was like the only way to get ungated was to order from Ingram Entertainment or Alliance. Back then you could order from in Kentucky. And that's how you would get ungated in CDs and DVDs. So I said, hey, everybody send me your CDs and DVDs too. I did 300,000 in sales the following year, selling everybody CDs and DVDs. And they all went to our prep center. The prep center, all the prep center did, to my knowledge, was like open them up, make sure there's no scratches, and check for counterfeits. So like if it was like, I think we said like if it was like purple on the bottom, we would potentially think it might be a counterfeit, and then like to see if it's like obvious, like a bootleg, like no artwork on the front cover. But honestly, like our and hopefully, I guess I'm putting this out on YouTube, but I don't think our checks for counterfeits were very thorough for CDs and DVDs. But we sold thousands, and we never had like any significant issues at all. And if we ever did, we just refunded them. So I don't think the CDs and DVDs, I think like the biggest risk you run with CDs and DVDs is like the brand, a brand counterfeit claim. And even then, I think you're like the most likely consequence is you just get restricted in that brand or ASIN.
Right.
CDs and DVDs aren't, in my opinion, as ruthless of a category. Like if you sell a counterfeit textbook, like I have, that is something they do not play around with. Why doesn't Amazon play around with that? There's huge lawsuits that could happen. Like we know big companies who have been sued millions for counterfeit textbook sales. Like if you go to, well, I don't have to talk about it publicly, but bookscouter.com, there's a lot of those people that just don't buy textbooks anymore. A lot of those vendors, you'll see Books Run on there, Sell Back Your Book, and a whole bunch of other vendors. And some of them have been in lawsuits with the textbook companies. So Amazon's taking notes. They see that this brand has successfully sued other company for textbook sales. And what did they do? They just restricted all sellers in textbooks. So now if you have an Amazon account after 2017, you can't even sell Pearson, Cengage, or McGraw-Hill. At least the good titles you can't. So
yeah, I notice occasionally that I do get restricted in certain textbooks are just no good. Boom. Yeah. You can pick it up. You go, this is not. I tell my son if he goes with me sometimes to scan, I go, that's no good. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Just know.
And what you can do is you can take the textbook, sell it on eBay. You can take the textbook, go to bookscouter.com, look for the top paying vendor. Or we actually landed a relationship with Scout IQ. Excuse me, I don't know why my voice is so scratchy. Where with restrictedinventory.com, you can actually see the quote on Scout IQ. So check this out. It's going to mute both of us real quick, but I'll put it on the screen.
Are you
So basically, what happens is you scan a book with Scout IQ. it'll say what you would get if you sent it to restrictedinventory.com. That's the business I started years ago. And now we partnered with a seller in Texas who sells textbooks. He does like $5 million a year in textbook sales, and he's got permission from all the brands, Pearson, Cengage, McGraw-Hill, to sell their brands. And so he'll vet for any counterfeit. So if you guys do want to send us textbooks, you can. And the cool thing about that business is we never take more than a $20 cut. So if you send us a $100 profit book, we only keep 20, you keep 80. And so that's been going on for 5 years now to restrictedinventory.com.
All right, that's cool. I'll have to look. See, that's what I mean is like, I think there's, even for me, there's many more avenues to still go.
Yeah.
I mean, people tell me when I do my videos on, I do videos of me in the bins. They're like, why don't you take all those Dr. Seuss? Why don't you take all this and lot all that stuff up? And I tell them, I said, look, I would love to. Okay. I have a certain thing that I do. I don't have the space. Okay.
Yeah.
Meaning it's tough for me. I would love to have a trailer and load the trailer up and take it out to like a flea market and just blow books out. You know what I mean? All kinds of stuff. But how much do I want to spend at age 62?
Yeah.
I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with where I'm at. And that's also key, right? Is you can grow these businesses as big as you want.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to put the work in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's me with every business I'm doing right now.
Yeah. You probably have your fingers all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. I do wholesale as well. And we're at like 130,000 in sales last 30 days. And
that's
a ton of opportunity there. It's going good. And then like I have a private label opportunity. I'm growing go-to lister. I have my personal brand. I still have restricted inventory, which I'm trying to actually sell this business.
Grind hard, well done, sir.
I've been doing that business for 5 years now. I actually want to sell it because it's everything takes energy and effort. But I do think it's a great solution for the community to be able to sell textbooks on an account that's approved.
Exactly. I think there's just so many opportunities, and that's why I think that people who are interested in starting anything from books to eBay to whatever, you have to be willing to put in the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like I think we were talking earlier, a lot of people are working full-time jobs. It's very difficult now to make a living in this country.
Yeah.
Because everything is so expensive, and not just my area, but you see it everywhere. North Carolina, and things are getting more expensive here. It's getting more crowded, and you have to be able to figure it out. And it takes teamwork. If you're married and you have 2 kids, your wife has to be on board. The whole thing has to be on board in order to grow your business and to keep it growing. And I will tell people, don't run first. Go slow, learn how to grow it, learn how to make a process so that this process will sustain you year after year. You have to have something like that. You have to have organization of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people listening right now are probably envious of that relationship you have with that thrift store. If you were like in Chicago or New York or Nashville, like some medium to large size city, would you attempt to get like an exclusive relationship like that? Like, would you be searching for that rather than having
I would be looking to see who's willing to deal with you. And I think I try to tell people, I said, look, if you can build the relationship where you give them back X books and they can resell them a second time. So let's say that you go to let's say it's 150 a Gaylord, and you tell them, look, let me go through them. I'll put what I don't want in this Gaylord. Then you can resell those to, that's why I also tell people, be very careful when you're buying Gaylords online. I think Reezy probably could be better at this than me, but of them being pre-sorted, right? Or they sucker you in, they salt them, and then next thing you know, you get 5 or 6 complete duds.
Yeah.
So, be very careful.
When
I do the same thing. I mark my bins at this particular place. I mark them so that I will not get them back.
Yeah.
So they know that. So when it's marked, they take it away.
Nice.
And if I see that come back out, I go, no.
Yeah.
But they don't. They're really cool with that. Like I'm on vacation right now, and they're stacking books for me. So they're not, instead of just hauling them away, they're stacking them. I say, when I get back, I'll have to hustle for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But
are you using like the OCR technology with Scott IQ to look up the non-barcode books?
yes, you're talking about the ISBN?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, where you just do the number.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I create piles and then I go back at those because that'll slow you down in general. Unless I find a book that's really cool and I want to look up right away. But most of the ISBN ones I'll stack, and then when I'm done with that bin, I'll hit them real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then occasionally I even use the title. Sometimes the title works. You know, the title that'll work if you can't find it. And if that fails, you just got to go to eBay
to like scan the cover.
Yeah, scan the cover. The title that sometimes will hit. It's a little sketchier, but the ISBN works really nice.
Yeah.
So
that's my favorite.
Yeah, I think Scout IQ for me is just, and here's the other thing. I'll tell you because people ask me, Mike, what are the settings you use for Scout IQ?
Yeah.
I do one setting only, and I default to 50 cents. And why do I do 50 cents? This is me personal. I do not allow
buy cost.
Buy cost. Do you know the buy cost?
Yeah.
My buy cost is here. Let me explain real quick to the listeners. This is how I work. The bin costs me 100.
Yeah.
I already know that I am going to get more than $100 worth of eBay items out of that bin. So all the books that go to Amazon FBA are pure profit in my mind. So I set my buy cost for 50 cents. Now, why? Because Amazon will split your shipments if you do not take and click that don't allow them to split, because you could go down on, I use ScanLister. So when you use ScanLister, all of a sudden you hit send to Amazon. And they go, oh, hey, guess what? I want 1 book here, 4 books here, 22 books here. Now you got to pull your box apart, et cetera, and now you have to ship one. No. So I have all my books are charged about 42 cents, right? I think it is per book, not to split them.
Yeah.
And I can afford to do that because I'm getting my books for so cheap, basically. So that's how I work it. And I don't allow them to split me. I want as least amount of work as possible.
Yeah.
And Amazon will create work for you if you let them.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it's actually, you've been doing that way for years. You've been using image replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inventory replacement.
Previously, I may have said that you're losing money by paying for them all to go to one place, but now there's a key major difference that just happened.
Yeah.
Now that you're using the minimal placement option, you're paying for them to get sent to a closer location to you. So you're actually paying less in inbound shipping.
Right. It won't go as far as the farthest that it will send me is Arizona or Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're keeping it out west. Whereas if you do the Amazon optimized split from the West Coast, they'll send all your shipments to the East Coast, and you're paying like upwards, like triple in inbound shipping, 70 cents a pound, if not more.
Right. And then the other thing is you forget the time. Everybody forgets this. Time is money, period.
Yeah.
And if you want to make $50 an hour and you have to split 3 boxes, now you have to print 3 labels, and that's 3 different shipping costs.
Yeah.
Like for a box, I might pay $12 or $13 to ship it.
Yeah.
But now if I've got 3 boxes split, and there's one that's a minimum of 5, one's at 8, and now you're shipping, it's more than what you would have done with 1 box.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a whole experiment on this. Let me see if I can pull it up. Split. There we go. Yeah. I tried from the East Coast, West Coast.
Did you?
Because I saw, Jen on the Facebook group. Are you on Facebook at all?
No, I have just a very small Facebook.
Nice.
But I'm not in anybody's group, I don't think.
Gotcha. Yeah. She's always posting in the book flipper community.
Did she do something?
Yeah, she did a little test. Let me pull this up real quick. But I was like, I couldn't believe her test. She was from the West Coast, and she said it was cheaper to do minimal splits. And I was like, are you serious? Yeah. And so I did a test myself, and she was actually right. So I did a West Coast test. You can see like the total fees. This is including inbound shipping and placement fees. And so it's kind of hard to see here, but I'll just break it down. The minimal splits option, which is you're paying Amazon the most in placement fees, was $112. The partial split option was actually cheaper, $83, and this is including the splits. So this is for a West Coast shipment. Mm-hmm. And then for the Amazon optimized splits, it was actually a lot more expensive than the partial split. So in this case, the partial splits was cheaper, but like you said, time is money.
You're
saving you're saving $30. You know, if you have a good workflow for dealing with splits, it may be worth going with the partial splits in this case. But let's see, there was an East Coast option I did too. So here in the East Coast, you can see it was for the Amazon optimized split, it was $29. So this is including inbound shipping and the placement fees. And then for the partial splits, it was just $1 more. So that's a no-brainer. Right. You'll probably go with partial splits there. Or for just $4 more, you could pay for minimal splits and have it all go to one location.
In one box and one and not. Yeah, but you see, I again have to give the caveat, right? Because I think I have such a special relationship with my bins that allows me to, it allows me to do that as a kind of like, hey, let me just do this. It's going to save me time. And it's like big deal because I'm making so much profit over here.
Right.
That's why I always caveat, look, every situation is different. You want to know how they all go, how do you do it? Okay, here it is. But by the way, please remember, this is how I work.
Yeah.
And
you got to make it fun for you too. Like if listing is like a torturous thing for you, you're not going to enjoy selling on Amazon. But if it's kind of fun, like if it's gamified, if you see how much profit you're about to make when you ship it out, you know, it's like you want to
none of us, especially me, I tell myself, Mike, let's put out one box a day on average. I'm a very simple seller, anywhere from 30 to 35 books in a box. And if I continue that pattern, I know I'm going to make X dollars. And if I want to push it, I can turn it up a notch. I got a life. And so my situation is different. But like you said, if you're going to try to put in 5 or 6 a day, there's some work there.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to find the 5 or 6, right? You still got to find them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really where most of the focus should be going is like securing that good source. And if you can get a good source that's replenishable, that gets new inventory every week, just prints money after time, you know?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I lost a picture here. Okay, there you are. No doubt. That's it. And it all boils down to that. And it's not like and people ask me, it's like, I don't mean to be mean, but I can't tell you X. You have to go find X.
Yeah.
Because why do I, and it's like, hey, I worked all these years to find my source. Yeah. And if I tell you my source, well, why would I shoot myself in the foot, right?
Yeah.
You know, I give you ideas and I want to help you, but I don't want to be, you know.
And you have exclusivity in your source. So even if somebody knew it, like the people aren't going to, like, they're like, we already got Mike. He's been working with us for years. He does a good job. He stays organized. He's a man of his word. Like you have to compete with that, you know? And that's what we all have. We all have that benefit of being the local that you can be punctual. You can do what you say. You can show up. And then, you know.
You hit it on the head. I told the guys that I was leaving for 3 weeks, their eyes got big. What? You're leaving? I go, but they knew. I said, look, you know me. And I said, you know me. I'm going to be back on this date. And I will be back on that date. Yeah. That is so key. Punctuality, being there, not being a flake, not creating issues for them. If you create issues for the source, they're not going to want you. If you want to create drama, well, why do they want to deal with drama? Yeah. They're interested in moving the product.
Exactly.
Right. So all these things play into everything we do, right? And we get back to, again, networking. I am networking with this source. This source is my, livelihood or whatever you want to call it. They are, I have to treat them with certain respect. And if something I don't like, I just eat it. I just go, you know what? This is changing. Fine. In my head, you know what I mean? I'm going to follow their rules.
100%. Well, Mike, thanks so much for coming on. You got any last words for the people? Any advice or anything to leave them with?
I'll tell you what, man. I think if you just take it slow, find that source, be positive, continue to grind. Every day is different in your life, no matter what. One day you may have 5 straight days of just nothing going right. Mm-hmm. The 6th day, it may just hit you and everything will open up. I always use a cartoon, and the cartoon I use on my channel sometimes is the 2 guys that are digging a tunnel. They're digging a tunnel. One's whacking away. One guy is like a foot away from getting the diamond, and he turns around. You've seen that cartoon.
Yeah.
And the other guy breaks through and the other guy didn't know. So you just don't know when you're going to find that source. You just have to keep going. That's all I can tell you. Just keep grinding.
Love it. And guys, remember, this is made possible by GoToLister. Here's a quick review from Steve Rakin of the fastest listing software.
The number one thing I love about it most is it helps me list and process my items that much faster. And as you know, if you want to grow your Amazon business, speed is the name of the game. If you're thinking about selling on Amazon or you're already selling and you want to be able to grow your business quicker, definitely check out GoToLister. Appreciate you, Avery, for creating the software, and it's really helping me grow my business. Much love.
Much love, guys. Peace out.